Hey, what's up, everybody? This is D from Brooklyn. And in light of all the craziness and madness with the COVID, aka coronavirus, going on, I thought we could take a minute to kind of take our minds off it and kind of relate this to something that we may have to deal with in the fish fam. And that is what to do when one of your fish actually comes down with something. And I know we hate to think of our little fishies as being as vulnerable, if not more, and very much more vulnerable to things like diseases and viruses than we are. But add on top of that the fact that you have your fish in a very closed system with many other fish, and it becomes a real pain in the tuchus. So, especially when you have plants, shrimp, and other people in here that make it really difficult to single out any specific sick fish. So that is what happened to me. I decided to sit down, take a look at the tank, take my mind off the television, and what of all things did I notice? One of my little fishies was sick, and it looked like he had the dreaded ick. If you look real close at this guy right here, one of my threadfin shad over here has a bit of the white spot. And how sad is this? Because it is a nightmare trying to catch one little fishy out of a tank with all this stuff in it. But let me tell you about ick. Ick, otherwise known as white spot, eventually kills the fish unless you can catch it really early or isolate the sick individual. So how do you do this? Good question. In this case, since it is one fish, you want to first check all the other fish and make sure that none of the others are showing any immediate signs. But basically, if I see one fish has it, I'll take that little fishy out and I have to treat him individually. If not, euthanize him, aka keep him comfortable until he passes. So when you look at a tank like this, I have wood in here, I have shrimp in here, I have inverts, I have snails, I have plants, I have a lot of life in here, which make treating this whole tank with medications damn near magical, if not impossible. And if any other tank had got infected, I wouldn't have made such a big deal, because personally, I've dealt with these fish tanks for multiple decades, over 30 years, and it's not the first time I've seen white spot. You can treat it naturally, and this is how I do it. First and foremost, I want to raise the temperature of the tank. If you treat it medically, you're going to deal with a lot of issues with the wood absorbing it, the plants absorbing it, but you want to basically slowly raise your temperature. Now, if you plan on taking the fish out, before you do this, this is what you'll need: a tank, an adjustable heater, not a pre-programmed one, and a pump. I'll tell you why you're going to need these three things. First, you need a separate tank so you can isolate and contain the situation. You're going to need an adjustable heater because pre-programmed heaters do not get warm enough, and I'm talking about 82 degrees, in order to kill the ick parasite. Yes, ick is a parasite, not so much a germ or a bacteria. It's a parasite which attacks the fish by the scales and gills and skin. By raising the temperature, you can pretty much kill this parasite. Now, you can do this medically. It is not 100% foolproof, and I'm sure you guys out there are saying, oh, I did this and it didn't work, yada, 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 yada. This is the first line of defense in treating your fish. So in this tank, I'm going to raise the temperature because I have shrimp and I have snails in here. Because I have those inverts in here, I'm going to raise it very slowly. It takes about 2 weeks. Since it's not widespread, it may be quicker, but here we go. I'm going to feed my fishies because they're so darn gullible, so that I can get a close look at them and make sure that there are no other fish showing signs of sickness. This guy here, I was trying to catch the sick fish and I just banged into him with the net. So I hopefully didn't really do the damage, but hopefully he recovers. I kind of banged him with the net. He looks crazy. He's still kicking. I think he's a little stunned, but if anything, I'll pull him out. But anyway, you want to inspect your fish. Secondly, you want to remove any sick or dying fish that you notice. This guy, it's killing me watching him now because he was not sick. He did not have ick. I just hit him trying to catch the other guy. But you want to also add carbon to the tank. I already run a very small amount of carbon in this tank in my little power filter. But if you get these small mesh bags like I get at Petco or my local fish store, you can easily add it to a hang on the back filter or just drop it in the tank. Here I have my power filter protected by the Justice League. Yes, keep my fishies safe. But anyway, I add a little bit of carbon. I change this every like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, probably like much 2 weeks because it's a small amount. And I'm going to also run carbon in a tank if I'm separating the fish without medication. If you're using medication, you don't want to add carbon. And you want to add oxygenation. This one has an aerator in there. I just have the tube running out of the tank, so it heavily oxygenates the tank. And look at all this damn damage. These snails are the bane of my existence. But that's why we're looking for the 3 coolie loaches. Anyway, back to the tank. I already have, as you know, my 2.5 gallon tank set up with the heater, which is running at 80 degrees. And there's no other fish in there, so I can remove him to that tank. And these snails, look at the damage to the sword plant. I'm sorry, I'm getting so sidetracked. Anyway, you want to remove the sick fish to your quarantine tank. Keep the temperature. If you decide to medicate it, do not add carbon. And you're going to keep this fish isolated in here. Little mothers. Look at all these damn snails. These little mothers. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. Anyway, you're going to keep that fish isolated for at least 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, you should see whether the signs have dropped, which means the spots will fall off the fish, generally release themselves and die off in the water. At that point, you may want to change the water and remedicate. In any other case, you're going to want to change that water every about 3 days with warm water. Make sure you don't use cold water. You want to use warm water. Treat it with your tap water treatment or whatever you have, and keep your fish healthy. This is very simple. This is the natural way of treating a tank. I think of it as a cold. Like this and any other sickness, fish can get over it. It is very difficult, mainly because you usually don't notice the signs until they're very far along. In this case, I'm going to definitely pull this guy out. I got to get my hemorrhaging guy that I just beat up, got to get him out. That's a sad story. But if this guy doesn't make it, at least I'm going to try to isolate the problem to him. So that's it for me. I hope that little bit of information helped you out. And keep your fish healthy. If you don't mind, smash that thumbs up and give me a like and hit the subscribe button. Till next time, stay tuned, click subscribe so you can stay posted. We're going to see how this plays out. Not the first time, not the last time, but that's it. Love, peace, and hair grease. This is D. I'm out.